Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Modern Practical Guide to a Positive Full Life with your host, your go to friend, that's me. Today we're going to talk about inaction, and this will be part of the decision making videos. Now, I've made one where you have two decisions or a number of decisions, you can't really decide which is better. I've made one on making a decision with somebody else, and so conflict resolution to some degree. And then this one is about making a decision that is not, it's not indecision. It's not like you have options. It's like you don't even know what your options are. It's like, where do you start, right? You either don't know where to start, you have too many. It's not like a handful of decisions. You have like infinite amount of decisions. You don't know where to start making a decision, and you don't know which one is best by any degree. So where do you start, right? And so it's a very difficult, it's a tricky problem, and so it doesn't it happens more often than you think, and a lot of times we just dismiss it because typically these type of problems aren't super important. They're just problems we have, and so it's easy to ignore them. So I think though it's one of the problems that you come back to when you look back and you reflect. You're like, oh, I really wish I would have done that thing. I really wish I would have done this. And a lot of times it's a proactive approach that you should have done and you didn't do. So you have to first get used to reflecting and get used to reflecting about being proactive about your future and where you want to be and what you want to do. And this will happen more with throughout the whole guide, and the more videos you do, because it is a part of all the other ones. Um, and one of the things I like to do in reflection, I'm going to start with this, is thinking back when I have a troubling situation and you sometimes feel powerless, or you have a problem and you don't really know where to start, is to think a year from now, a month from now, a week from now, however lengthy the problem is. What if I could look back, what would I wish I would have tried? What I wish I would have done. That's for me a really good way to start. And usually that's, for me it was recently something happened that was a loss in the family, and so I was like, well, what can I do? I'm far away, and the little things. I was like, well, I could try this. I don't think it's going to help much, but I'm going to try it. And it comes back to that. And I realized, oh, wow, it's really making a difference. I'm really glad I did it. And then there's other things I've thought of, and I'm like, oh, I'll try this. And it doesn't really make much of a difference. But a year from now, I'm going to look back on it. I'm going to be like, well, I did everything I thought I could do, and it didn't work out, or it did work out, and that's great. But I'm not going to have this regret of doing nothing. And that's really, I think, where these type of decisions stem from. Um, Now, I do understand usually these type of decisions you don't have complete control over. That's why there's so many things you could do. None of them are very clear, like, I'm going to completely steer this, direction. It's like little things you can do to help people along the way, or help, as you're going down this river and you don't have a paddle per se, you can do things that are going to make it better. Um, and I think a good way of thinking about it is, what can you do to minimize the negative aspects that could arise, and what can you do to increase the positive now, uh, or in the future? And if you look at it that way, you're going to think of little things, but you're going to be able to act on them instead of being like, I don't know what to do, or I have no idea where to start. You're going to be like, well, something came up, just try it. And the more and more you do this, you'll realize, okay, it was a good idea, it was a bad idea, but you'll get better and you'll realize what are good ideas and what are bad ideas. But more than anything is, you're going to be proactive. You're going to be doing things, and this goes back to that being proactive. Um, Now, when you have a lot of ideas, it's going to seem like you could do this forever. So set a time limit. This is part of the other decision making videos, but it's very important. Is this decision something small? You're going to give yourself 5 minutes, 10 minutes, an hour, a day. Um, you need to set a limit. You set to whatever you think is best, and however the weight of that problem, or decision, just demands. But set a limit, because if not, you're not going to know when to start doing it. You're going to be planning, you're going to be writing down, and then you're just never going to do anything with it, because the time to do it will never come. So have that, or at least schedule it. Be like, I'm going to think about this to listen. My recommendation is, set a time to do this. Don't say, okay, I want to do something for that person. I'm going to do it this day. And then the time comes, you never thought about it, right? So set a time to think about it and reflect and plan for it, and then set a time to do it. Ideally, you plan, I'm going to think about this for 10 minutes and I'm just going to do it right after. That's ideal, but you don't always have that situation, so it's understandable. Um, Now, focus on the time and focus on that first step. It's a lot of times it's the hardest thing because you're like, if I do nothing, it doesn't really make a difference. If I do this, it probably won't make much of a difference. So that first step is critical. It's a term I've heard in the past, the paradox of choice. And so just there's a lot of other stuff there, but with this, just start somewhere. Because imagine you have 5 ideas and you're like, well, these could all be viable. Just it's the first one on the list. Just do it. Just figure out what it is and just try it. And if it's not good, then move on to the next one. If it is good, do that one and the next one. Or if you can't, just focus on that one. And that's fine if you don't get to the other ones. But do it. Doing it is going to be very, very important to getting the feedback and the results you want. Because if all you do is plan, then you're never going to see anything from it. Now, if you can do it now, and I'm going to sound a little repetitive, do it now. This is part of most of the videos, but doing something now is one of the most important things, because a lot of times we say tomorrow when we'll be better, tomorrow when we get that thing, we'll do it. No, do whatever you can do now, even if it's not the best. If you could do 100% tomorrow and you can only do 80% now, do it now. It's always better to do it now, even if it's not perfect, because you get it out of the way and you'll get it done. And tomorrow, who knows what happens, right? And you don't want to be living it tomorrow. A lot of times, when we get that thing, when we have that, or when we do that, then we'll do that other thing. It just never comes. So it's always beneficial to do it now. It never really makes sense to wait unless there's something like, I need this paperwork or I need this certificate before I get that, or vice versa. If you need something, you need wheels before you can move the cart, right? Like if you need something, you need something. But if you can get most of it done, even if it's just 80%, do it now. Now again, maximize what you can do. Figure out what your strengths are. If you have a lot of options of what you can do, figure out what you're good at, and you do that by looking back at the past. What have people told you they appreciated? What have you been good at? What have you excelled at? And focus on that. Don't focus on, if you want to have this as a learning experience and you really, really suffer from something and you want to improve on that, then by all means. But remember, what you want to do in life is you want to focus on your weaknesses just to the point where they don't hold you back. And you want to invest most of your energy in your strength, because that's what's going to really make you shine. That's what you're going to excel at. So if this is one of those opportunities where you're going to look at the weakness, then that's okay. But usually it's going to be something you want to focus on your strengths, because you don't know where to start. So you might as well start somewhere where you're strong, right? And just remember that thing where you don't have to, before you do this, you don't have to do it perfectly. It doesn't have to be perfect. A lot of times the thought that counts, especially with social interactions. So if it's 80% good, then it's good enough. Just get it done. Now, if you're indecisive between two things, which you start at, and you don't know, like the other videos in reference to that type of decision making might be part of this underlining, right? So if that happens, if you feel 51% sure of one, just do that. Now, if you can't get there, flip a coin. And if you can't flip a coin, then you have to reflect more and figure out, how to get to a better place in reference to that, because you can't make decisions in that sense, which is okay. You just need to spend time and figure out what your priorities are and who you are and who you want to be. And I know it sounds like a heavy, but it's not that difficult if you just spend a little time every day. So the more you do these guides, the more you reflect, the better you'll get at all of this. And that's it. This is a short video relatively, just because it's just inaction from having too many options. So thanks for watching. Follow us on social media. Our handle is Cultum Vita. It means cultivating life, and we're on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. And thanks for watching. If you think this will help somebody, please forward it along. That's why I do them. And look out for the next video. Thanks again.